All right, perfect. So, Emre, the recording has started, so we can get going as well. Fair enough?
Perfect.
Perfect. So first of all, I'm super excited to have you here today. This is a topic that is burning a lot of holes in people's minds because a lot of people struggle with this idea of, hey, you know what? I want to make a ton of money. I want to increase my net worth. I want to get involved into revenue properties and starting to acquire rentals and to become a landlord. And then all of a sudden they realize, oh my God, there's a lot of work, right? I'm sure you hear this all the time.
Absolutely.
And
All the time.
of course, of course. And then the question comes up is like, okay, I still want to continue on the journey and on the process. However, who's going to help me take care of this? Is it going to be my real estate agent? Is it going to be my uncle who's retired? Or is it going to be potentially a professional management company who has the experience, the know-how, and the systems and models in place to help make that happen? So today we're going to share a little bit on the inside scoop of that side of the equation so that people can learn the benefits of essentially having a professional company help them out. So we're excited to have you here. I think today a lot of people are going to get the pro tips and the advice to become a successful landlord, right? Is that what we're talking
Yeah,
about?
hopefully. Hopefully. It's a
Yeah.
pleasure to be here today with you, Wilson.
Thank you.
Always a great pleasure talking to you.
Good. I appreciate it. Also, just to remind you who our audience is, Emery, is that
Yeah.
we've created this private mastermind group that we're currently building. So it's still in its beginning phases, but people are coming to us in numbers, and we're very excited about it. We have a lot of clients who have purchased properties with us on a residential side. And one of the things that I believe in is real estate. That's why I have my real estate license. And I believe real estate is an amazing vehicle to help individuals set themselves up for a better future, whether it's buying a revenue property that can create passive income for them in the future, which is everybody's dream, right? And
Yeah, absolutely.
exactly. And or it could be an opportunity for them to just have leverage and a better retirement. Or maybe even one of the things I teach our clients is if you've got kids, for every kid you have, buy one revenue property. Imagine being able to bring the key one day to your kids and say, hey, mom and dad had the foresight to buy a property for you, and 25 years later or 30 years later, when that thing is paid off, it becomes a leverage tool for the kid to either have a place to live or refinance and buy another home, or refinance it and start a business, or travel the world, or pay for their education. Limitless opportunities. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. It's even better for us to teach them how to buy those properties at an earlier age so they can start building their life at an earlier level. Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely. I agree.
Yeah, so we're on the same page, and that's why you're here. Listen, our
Yeah,
relationship goes back now a good number of years. We've sent clients
yeah,
your way. I know we have clients that are international who have zero presence here in Montreal, and you're managing their property for them. I know that even like up to a couple of weeks ago, we sent you an opportunity for a client who needs to find someone on a temporary basis, and based on
yeah.
your, your ability to service that, they're availing themselves. So thank you in advance for that. We really appreciate it.
You said you're busy all the time.
Yeah, and that's why, you're here as a trusted partner. I know you already manage hundreds. I think it's around 900 units.
Around 900 right now at the moment. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
for your clients from around the world, and that's pretty amazing because that means you're doing a good job. But tell us a little bit about yourself if you don't mind, so our audience knows who you are and they can come to trust you like I have. How long have you been doing this? Agrasoy
Yeah.
Realty is your company. How long has it been around? What can you share a bit about yourself and your company so we can get this ball
Yeah,
going?
absolutely. So my name is Emre Agrasoy. I'm the founder of Agrasoy Realty, and we've been in business for about 17 years at the moment. It all started with my own investments. So I started this journey as an investor. So I started buying my first properties while I actually was doing my master's at McGill at that time. To be honest, it was much easier to buy the properties at that time. It was much easier to get a mortgage.
Right.
I was lucky from that perspective. I was a student at McGill. I barely had income. I was a new immigrant, and I was able to get a mortgage. So, and I was thinking, instead of paying my rent, which was much higher than the cost of the mortgage plus all the condo fees and etc., I was asking myself, well, I'm renting. So, in the first year while I was here in Canada, I started looking for opportunities, and I bought my first few properties. And after that, it comes with all the challenges as well. So dealing with the tenants, finding good tenants, getting actually paid in terms of the rent and etc. So I started learning all this lengthy and difficult processes. I bought a couple of properties, and after that, I just realized, okay, the banks is not going to give me mortgages anymore, so I had to stop. But we were generating a lot of leads when I was actually putting it on the market in terms of the rentals, and I just realized, oh, maybe I can also help the other owners a little bit. So we started helping the owners with their rentals. So we did leasing. And at some point, the owner said, okay, it's good that you're getting these new tenants for us, but who's going to be dealing with them? So we have a lot of issues. They're not paying. They're complaining all the time about certain issues. We don't have a network of suppliers. If there's a problem, we don't know who to call. So would you be willing to help us with that? So I said, yeah, why not? So everything basically moved organically. And from leasing, we started doing also property management.
Right.
And at some point, we started having a lot of local investors, but also at some point, investors are also interested in the Canadian market from other countries. And they somehow found us, and we started having a lot of foreign investors as well. So that's how basically we grew the business, purely organically. We didn't do any marketing for our business. It was just referrals, references, good reviews. And we came to this point where actually we manage over 950 units at the moment.
50.
And next year, we are actually forecasting about 1,500. So
Wow.
we're growing aggressively at the moment. In-house, we have about 7 agents who are doing pure leasing. So basically, their job is advertising the vacancies that we have, showing the units, collecting the applications and sending them to our office. And in our office, we have about 7 people, some administrative, some property managers. And their job is basically dealing with the tenants on a day-to-day basis, processing the applications. It's a very important process for us, especially as we want to deal only with good tenants, because we know the bad tenants takes a lot of time and effort. And that's where we are at. That's what Agrasoy Realty does. So we do property management and leasing. That's our 2 very core businesses.
Fantastic. And what a great story. Congratulations on that. It's kind of like you felt the need yourself, and you figured out a way to not only recognize your own need, but how that need is spread through the entire industry. So you were able to find a solution for people. Amazing. I love that. I always love those types of stories. So that's pretty awesome. So listen, we do have a lot of content to go through today. And as we discussed just prior to getting on the actual call, we may not get through it all. So, to our audience, if we don't get through it all, please be patient with us. Emre's already promised me he'll come back for a second helping, a second interview.
It will be our pleasure.
Yeah, because we want to make sure
specific parts of the conversation.
Exactly.
More in detail.
You never know where these conversations can go. They can go deep, they can go a little bit lighter, but our goal is to try to keep this in a reasonable time frame, and that's what we're going to do. Okay, so let's just dive into the inside scoop, as you called it, of property management. But I want to start at the beginning. I know you alluded to it a little bit already in your introduction. But you know what? For some people, especially some of our investors who haven't really started fully yet, they're now in the process of incubating to become investors. What are the benefits of using a property management company? Why shouldn't I just take care of those details myself? What exactly are you going to do for the clients so that we can maybe just recap them, those main points, so they can understand what they're going to get when they work with a company like yours?
Okay, first of all, there's thousands of reasons why you should use a property management company. But the most important thing, I think, is the peace of mind.
Right.
So obviously, when you purchase your own first property, you don't know what's going to come to your way. And you don't have a network of suppliers, which means that, if the tenant calls you for a clogged toilet, what are you going to do? So who are you going to call? Especially if the call comes at 3 a.m. in the morning, are you going to be able to answer that? Mm-hmm. These are the questions. The most important is the peace of mind. You know that you don't have to deal with it on a day-to-day basis. Somebody with the expertise with the network of suppliers and with the staff who's going to be able to do it on a professional way.
Right.
So that's very important. I think that's one of the first reasons that you might benefit from having a property manager dealing with your tenant rather than him doing it on your own.
Right.
So obviously, this we're talking about also the economies of scale.
Yeah.
So as the property management company, we are managing 950 units
Right.
versus an owner with one single unit.
Yeah.
So obviously, when it comes to the plumbers, the technicians, electricians, the contractors, it's much easier for us to engage them because they know there's a lot of business with us. So maybe they won't be available for you immediately because you're only an owner of a single unit, but we are 900 and something units. So they want our business. And in order to be able to keep our business, first of all, they have to provide us with quality job.
Right.
They're going to put additional effort to do a better job with us. Second, there might be some cost savings as well. They know that we're dealing with multiple contractors, multiple electricians, etc., and they will try to give us the best quote that they can give for that particular job.
Right.
And in addition to that, they're going to be available immediately. Like rather than just prioritizing us, they're going to prioritize us, our jobs. And let's say if we need the plumber today in 2 hours, they're going to be available.
Right.
Versus they might tell you, okay, I can give you an appointment a week after.
I understand.
So
I experience that all the time, and even as a residential real estate broker, every now and then we run into those issues, or we need something fixed before we put a property for sale. And you're absolutely right. When we have those relationships, which we also do with certain individuals, they will give us a little bit more of a priority status rather than saying, like you said, in a week or so from now, we're going to fix that hot water tank, which means the tenant or the owner is living with that hot water for a week, right? That's not acceptable.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, there's also the legal aspect of the entire conversation, right? So you have to know, you can be a local investor and you can be an international investor. So there are different, obviously, aspects of it. But let's say, even if you're a local investor, you might not know all the rules and regulations, all the new laws pertaining to real estate. And it's also changing, it's evolving every single day. You have to be aware of all the changes, right? So, the government just passed a new law, so you have to know exactly, what it actually requires from you, and you have to be on top of it. And it requires a lot of reading, a lot of talking to people, having a lawyer aside is to keep you up to date with the new laws and rules and regulations. So having a property management company with a local expertise, with a local knowledge of the laws and rules and regulations within a certain zone, it will also give you an advantage of not to worry about what's changing, what are the new laws, what are the impacts on us.
Right.
So we will be able to handle that perspective on their behalf as well. That's very, very important because, when it comes to the tax laws, when it comes to the tenant and landlord regulations, etc., there are many different aspects that you have to consider, and it's constantly changing and evolving, and you have to be on top of it.
Agreed.
So it requires a lot of reading. Yeah.
For sure. And even when it comes to dealing with these different syndicates, as you mentioned before, the laws are changing from the fiscal side. So the clients, being the owners of those units, need to understand what kind of impact it has on their tax reports and so on and so forth, and how they report the income that they earn. Like you said, it can be something as simple as the Tribunal Administratif du Logement, which is our rental board. For those who don't know, they keep on updating and modifying some of their practices and rules. So it's amazing to have boots on the ground here, someone who's on top of it. And like we talked about just now, the syndicates also have ever evolving rules and ways of practicing the whole real estate management as well, from the condo building perspective. Are there any particular insights you can share with how you guys deal with syndicates? Is it that the owner gives you guys the mandate to be able to bridge the communication? Is that how that works?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. It's part of our services, and it's our in our standard agreement that we play the liaison role between the owner, the tenant, and the syndicate. And there's a lot of communications going back and forth between all these parties,
Yes.
and we facilitate that as the middle. So basically, when we sign the lease for this, when we sign the agreement with our clients, we basically ask them to give us authorization to represent them in front of the syndicate,
Right.
because there's a lot of communications. There's a lot of communications going on with the syndicates, and it's part of our job to be the liaison between all these parties.
Yeah.
And it's important, especially if you're an international investor with a different time zone. You might not be able to respond to the syndicate request in a timely manner,
Right.
but having us here within the same time zone, it gives us the opportunity to respond right away. And if they need something urgently, we will be able to respond more quickly
That makes sense.
than somebody who lives in Asia
Of
or
course.
another time zone.
Right,
Yeah.
right. One of our clients that you're already helping out is in Europe, mostly in
Yeah.
so there's a big difference in time. Not only that, it's also relevant when the tenant themselves has an issue. If there are 10, 12 hours difference in between the time zones, then that also creates a bit of a frustration. So you guys remove that frustration.
Yeah, absolutely. And we give also the 24/7 emergency contact service. So if something really emergency happens,
Yeah.
they will be able to, reach us very quickly within 10 minutes of.
That's amazing. So, I mean, I had a question right here. What are some of the services offered by property management companies? You covered a whole bunch of them there already. One of the services that I believe one of our clients has availed to is also from the fiscal management as well. So you've connected them with lawyers and accountants who specialize in international investor, call it profiles, so that they can best service those clients' needs. Is that correct?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, we also provide, financial statements as a service, obviously, for larger clients, having, 30 plus units. So we do all the accounting and the financial statements on their behalf. And also another important aspect of the property management, especially for international buyers, is the NR6, NR4. We can go into the details what these might mean, but the CRA, basically Canadian Revenue Agency, require international buyers, international owners to pay their taxes upfront, not at the end of the year. And the reason for that is obviously if they don't pay, it's very hard for the government to chase them since they're not located in Canada, and they require for them to pay their taxes up front. And there's different requirements and different forms to be filled out and signed. And as a property manager, we can act as an agent for them, and we can collect the money and just send it to the government on a regular basis up front.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
No, this is fantastic. And like you said, especially for people who are far away, distance around the world, literally. And also, from what I'm hearing from you, it could also be very valuable even for a beginner investor, somebody who just doesn't know what they don't know. I'll be honest with you, as a real estate broker, we do provide some basic knowledge and information, which we should as real estate professionals to our clients. And sometimes I struggle with the fact that, oh my gosh, all of a sudden I'm wearing my property management hat. It's a tricky thing to navigate because sometimes our clients ask us legal questions. We have to be careful to, explain to them that there's a limitation to the scope of the advice we can give. So we have to constantly refer them to the right people based on their needs, right? So an accountant, when they're asking us for, specific accounting questions, I may have some general ideas on how things are supposed to work, but I don't know all the rules, and that's not my sphere of expertise. So we like to send people to the experts. So even a brand new investor will and could benefit from dealing with a.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I started this journey as a local investor as well, right? I had my properties in Montreal while I was living in Montreal, and I had tremendous issues. I mean, I can give you like live examples, a tenant is calling me like in January at 3 a.m. in the morning, and they're saying that my basement is flooding with water.
Right.
And it's a crawling space, right? So what I'm going to do, I didn't have a property manager at that time. And so I had to deal with by myself. So I called a couple of plumbers at 3 a.m. in the morning. None of them responds.
Of course.
You know,
8 a.m. in the morning.
because they don't know me. Yeah, exactly. So what I have to do is, and I had my own other business. I mean, meaning like I was the vice president of operations for a company.
Right.
So I had my full-time employment. So
Right.
in the morning at AM, I had to go to work basically. But at 3 a.m. in the morning, I had to go there, just get into the water, minus 30 degrees, crawling space. I had to go all the way to the end and just find the main water valve and just turn it off. And they were asking me, okay, so what are we going to do right now? We're without water. So I have to find that plumber for the morning part. At least they're going to have water when they wake up.
Right.
So it's also creates a lot of emotions for you, unnecessary emotions. So you're dealing with the tenants. Obviously, the tenants, they're calling you not when they're happy. They're
Right.
calling you when there's an emergency, when something goes wrong.
Yes.
And, you have to just put everything aside. You have to deal with it. There's a lot of emotions going on. Again, you don't have a network of people that's going to help you. It's
Right.
really painful process. And to be honest, like after I bought my first 5 or 6 properties, I came to a level. I said, okay, I'm just gonna quit. And I never quit in my life, but it came to the point like I had a lot of tenants were not paying, a lot
Right.
of tenants who were damaging the property. I had a lot of tenants who were complaining about each other. So at some point I said, okay, I cannot handle this anymore. Like that's where I lost most of my hair as well those years. So yeah, I mean, I almost gave up because it was pretty difficult. I was a local investor. I was right next to that building. I was not far, but
Right.
even the distance is not important at that point. It just creates a lot of emotions, a lot of
Right.
frustration. I just don't know what to do, and I almost gave up. And I'm glad I didn't because I learned a lot of lessons from that, which I applied for my own business.
And
That's
you
really
helped.
helped me a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, right now,
Yeah.
paying back.
Absolutely. That's a great story. And at the same time it's a great story, I need to interject because I've been a landlord for 24 years. And that
Yeah.
horror story you just described, I feel very privileged to say I've never had any kind of stories like that where at 3 o'clock or 2 o'clock in the morning. The worst I've ever
Yeah.
experienced was a tenant called me at about 11 o'clock at night and said, I accidentally locked my keys inside my place. We have two choices. Either I break the window and go inside, or you come and open the door. And it was winter, so I had to put on my boots, put on my hat, put on my jacket, because I preferred to go do that than to have them break the window, right? So I'm telling my
You were
side.
very lucky from that perspective, I can tell you. Like
Yeah, yeah.
normally, like when I talk to people, there are always like horror stories like that. I got even worse, like at my early stage of investment. But anyways,
The
you're
reason.
like,
Sorry to interrupt. I just want to finish my point because I also don't want people who are newer landlords to start thinking that OMG, this is going to be a nightmare for me too. I've had my share of issues with tenants. I will not deny that. However, I've also
yeah,
learned that if you do a good job, and we're going to actually talk about that next, of screening the
yeah.
tenant properly and doing an excellent job of making sure that the individual that you're actually signing a lease with is not going to be somebody who's going to create more headaches than not. Usually there's not very many issues that you run into on a day-to-day basis. I totally appreciate that your job with 950 units exposes you to, let's call it, most of the crap that goes on a daily basis, because you that's your world you're working in. You're the problem solver for all 950 units. For most investors, though, in my experience, and again, I'm coming from my own experience, doesn't make it right or wrong, good or bad, just maybe different. I still believe that having revenue properties and having tenants is probably one of the best opportunities that is out there. You agree, right?
100%, 100%. And if I had quit and if I sold my properties, that will be my worst regret in my entire life. So
Yeah.
I'm so happy that I kept them. I kept going,
Yeah.
and because after a few years, you learn it. So you learn how to find a good tenant. Like how to screen them properly. And you also build a network around yourself. So after 2-3 years, everything becomes much easier,
Correct.
much more easier. I mean, I can tell you that now we're managing nine something, 100 something units, but while I was managing my 3 units, that was much more difficult because I didn't have the experience. Like the
And
first
that's the
couple of
point
years
you
with
were
those
making.
3 units, everything was much more difficult. Right now, we don't have that. Like again, in the past 5 years, maybe we had to go like twice to tell for non-payments, and for
Yeah,
900 something units,
that's
not
amazing.
much. But at
Yeah.
early stage in my investment journey, I had to go to tell like maybe 3 times a year with only 2, 3 tenants.
Right, right.
Yeah,
And that's the
absolutely.
point
The
I
first
wanted.
couple of years might be difficult,
Yeah.
but it's definitely worthwhile. Like, and those the properties that I kept, maybe it's 3, 4 times more, valuable right now. If I sell it, I can make like 300-400%
Right.
profit on those
That's amazing. And that's really
properties.
what we all need to focus on. Like you and I are both saying, owning revenue property is not without risk. It's not without work. It's not without headaches. And the goal is to get educated and surround yourself with the right team. And that's kind of why we're talking today, right? I could be part of that team for some of our clients because maybe they're willing to get their hands dirty and take care of some of the management. And then, like we've talked
Yeah,
about, we have some other people, whether they're local or not, they can be halfway around the world. They can also benefit from having the support that you're going to provide them. But like I said, I just wanted to
absolutely.
make sure you guys who are listening, I'm talking to you here, that it's not as scary as Emery alluded it to be.
No, only 3 years. Once you learn the process, everything goes much smoother. Absolutely.
Yeah, everybody's just like logged off the call now. Okay, that's it. I'm not doing it. Look at Emery's head. He has no hair. Anyway, that's awesome. Now let's talk a little.
But only like 2, 3 years. After that, I didn't lose much of my hair.
That's great. That's terrific.
It's the result of only the first couple of years. That's it.
That's funny. So let's talk a little bit about the tenant screening process because I know you guys are very strict.
Yeah,
I know you guys have
yeah,
very high level of criterias, and you go through the process, you do the due diligence because. I mean, if you're like myself, and I believe you are, which is why we're here on the call together, is you treat your clients' properties like if it was your own property.
absolutely. Yeah, that's our model. That's very, very important. I mean, when it comes to the critical judgments, the only thing that we have in our mind is like, okay, what would have been done if we are the owner? So we're making the calls, the decisions, the judgment based on the fact that we are taking that as our own properties. I think that's the best way of making decisions when it comes to the
I
employee,
agree. That's how
decisions.
I work as well. Exactly.
100%, 100%. And the tenant screening is the most important aspect of the entire process, the most important
I believe
aspect. And the reason for that is, once you have a good tenant, you're not going to have a lot of issues.
correct.
But, there are hellish tenants out there, and you have to avoid them as much as you can. I mean, there's nothing 100%, but you can minimize your risk to below 1%. That's what we were trying to do. So, and if you want to go through the steps, there are many steps like doing the due diligence. I mean, you're gonna start looking at their credit score, credit report. I think that's one of the most important aspect of the screening. And the reason for that is, it gives a lot about it tells a lot of your character, a lot of your personality.
Yes.
And when you look at the credit scores, if anything below 700, it's always a red flag. So, we're trying to find the tenants with the highest
Cream of the
credit
crop.
score, if
Cream of the
possible.
crop, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. And we are looking at their employment. We're looking at their, how much they're making to ensure that they're going to be able to pay the rent.
Yeah.
And we're looking at the numbers closely. We just want to make sure that it doesn't go, the rent is not more than 33% of their gross income. And we call their previous landlords and we do a mini survey with them. We ask them if they've been a good tenant, if they're paying on time, if they've been any complaints from neighbors, how long they've been living there, and are they living alone? Do they have any pets? Do they smoke? So we ask all these questions to 1 or 2 previous landlords. And in addition to that, we checked if they have any criminal records. We check if they have any files at the rental board. To be honest, like even if they open the file at the court, at the TAL, it's not a good sign. So we don't want to deal with the tenants who keep, suing their landlords, etc. So, we're just putting them all together in a report and we're sending it to our clients. So basically, it's their final decision. Yeah, go ahead, Emre, sign the lease with them. We're good.
Right.
Okay, I don't like this and this. Just continue with your search for a new tenant. And it's a very important step, because if you start with a good tenant, everything else will be much easier.
100% agree. And then I love what you said, everything you just mentioned, even as a real estate broker, because as you know, we on occasion take rentals. Sometimes I call you and ask for help. Even recently, while I had the listing for the rental, we had it on your website as well, and we were working in collaboration because we wanted to open up more avenues, and that's an important thing. So one of the things that I would like to mention, even though we're talking about screening those tenants right now, is also as a benefit to landlords, because you have this constant flow of tenants reaching out to you for your 900 units. They're not all available all the time simultaneously.
Absolutely.
However,
Yeah,
you've developed
absolutely.
over the years a fairly sizable database of tenants, of renters, who oftentimes can be a good fit for a new tenant, a new landlord that now signs a lease, not a lease, but an agreement for management with you, and needs to find a tenant. Well, you're in a position to maybe find that tenant inside of your database already.
Yeah, Wilson, I think it's a very good point. We're generating 500 leads on a day-to-day basis.
500.
Daily, we're generating
Wow.
500 leads per day. And we're also getting about 10 to 15 applications every day for our properties. So you mentioned, like, yeah, there's a pattern, right? So I mean, we can talk about the AI in the future, like the deep learning and etc. But we're doing it with the human mind. Like every day, we're going through so many applications,
Yes.
and we know the end results of them if we get them as a tenant, and we can just develop that pattern. Who's going to be good? What type of personality? What type of credit score? What type of income? What type of industry that they're in? So we're just creating this pattern and the deep learning for us in order to be able to choose the best tenants out of there. So it's very important because we're working with a volume, a lot of data that we go through, and it helps us to find the best tenants out there with the best pattern.
Makes sense. Now, I'm someone who likes to talk about relevant things, and you just dropped the AI sort of idea. It was something I had written down in my notes to talk to you about, because we had agreed that it could be something that people may not have heard about or know how it is now impacting the property management field. Let's talk about that. And then some of the other stuff, maybe we'll shorten it a little bit, but I want to hear, like, what's happening in the property management with AI that keeps kind of bringing you back to it? How are you guys using it?
I mean, maybe not specifically AI, but we can talk about the technology in general. So, because I mean, I feel like that the real estate specifically, it's not an industry that is actually driven by the technology. Unfortunately, it's a very traditional industry. Property management also not an exception within the real estate sector. I don't think the industry in general is taking advantage of the technology as it can. So I don't think but it's going to change completely within the next couple of years. I think there will be a big jump in terms of how to use the technology in the real estate specifically and the property management. And we would like to be at the leading end of the entire story. So we started also a partnership with Building Stack, which is a property management platform and a technology platform. It's a Quebec-based company, and they're doing a great job in terms of creating this platform specifically for needs of the investors investing in Quebec. So we started this partnership. We're using their technology for our own properties. There is tremendous efficiency gains, like since we started using it, and also as a company, we're internally developing another platform that's going to be supported by AI for our property management needs. I mean, there are many different aspects and the impacts of the AI in the property management. I'll give you like some specific examples. When it comes to maintenance, with the AI, with better data and the deep learning, we're going to be able to determine like how many times we can maintain a particular equipment, for example, the optimal timing of this maintenance. Because if you do it too early, you're just gonna spend too much time and money. If you do it too late, then basically the repair cost will be, exponential. So we're going to try to find the optimal time for maintenance, for example. And we talk about AI again. When it comes to the application processing, there's a lot of manual work going there. So we're calling the landlords manually. We're looking at the criminal records and etc. I believe there is some opportunities to create AI to do all this work basically automatically.
Yes.
And there's a lot of opportunities to streamline the workflow. Right now, with the tool that we are using, the technology tool that we're using, we streamline the entire process from the application. I mean, even before, from the online marketing to application to lease signing, all the way to the actual property management and dealing with the tenants. Basically, when there's vacancies, the technology, the platform just prompts us, hey, Emre, this unit is going to come it's going to be available vacant in a couple of months. So, and it just automatically pushes the marketing material for that particular unit into different platforms. And then the platform schedule the visits for us with the lead. Automatically generates the visits for us to go and show the units. And once somebody's interested, they can apply online, and that information goes to their leasing, to the lease itself when they're approved. And after the approval, that person can use the request, the tickets and etc. within the system to basically notify us for a particular repair or maintenance and etc. So it definitely streamlines the entire workflow, and there's a lot of efficiencies that we gain from that particular technology. And in the past, when a single property manager can manage about 250, 300 units, right now we're pushing it to 350, even to 400. So there's a lot of efficiency gains that we have throughout this process.
I love the integration you're talking about, because this is the way of the future, right? This is the way for efficiency.
Exactly.
It allows you to provide. I can already hear, I mean, some of the things there, like communication and reporting is one of the things that we had on the list to talk about. Yeah. Already I can see how this technology and this integration can now provide, whether it's a portal or an automated report to the owner of the property. So not only can they see, yeah, there was a repair scheduled because the tenant called and this is how much it cost and everything can be so streamlined and automated with the right technology.
Exactly. And it's very important for us because as a company, we believe in full transparency, and we basically try to update our clients, the owners, on a regular basis about everything. Like, even if they have to change a faucet, which costs $200, etc. We would like to inform them. We would like to gain their input if necessary, because there are different type of owners as well. Some of them are very hands-off. They don't want to hear about anything, and some of them, we've been working for 10 years. We barely had any phone conversation. They never came to Quebec to visit their units. They bought it online. We went to the notary to get the keys, and we've been managing it for 10 years without any input from them. Some of them are very hands-on. They would like to learn. They would like to also understand the whole process, So we would like to customize our approach based on what their needs are. But if they're hands-on, if they would like to know everything, we would like to be fully transparent, and we would like to share everything with them so that they will actually be in the process and learn throughout the process.
Very, very awesome. So listen, there's a few other points that we have here, but we're already kind of pushing almost 40 minutes. It's been amazing, by the way. I think the content is pertinent. I think this content is important. I think this is the kind of content that our people want to hear. And I'm sure some of your own clients can be reminded about all the things you do for them, because if you're like me as a real estate broker, there's so many things going on behind the scenes that we do for our clients that they have no idea about. And sometimes even if they were to listen to this recording or for you to share it with people thinking about hiring a company, they're really going to see the inside. Very, very.
Oh, absolutely. We only got many requests from our existing clients. They would like to see the recording afterwards. So absolutely, we will share it with them.
Yeah, absolutely. So here's one question that I will ask you to answer with a paragraph, not a sentence, because so far we've been answering paragraphs, which I like, meaning we've been digging a little bit deeper. But in the interest of keeping this concise and making sure we keep our audience's attention, there's a couple of quick little things that I'll ask you maybe a question and just answer with a sentence. Let's not dig too deep into it, and we'll have
Sounds
you.
good. I'll try my best.
Yeah, I know, and I love what you're saying, and I'm sure the audience is going to enjoy this as well, right? So when it comes to this big question that everybody's going to ask is, Emery, how much are you going to charge me for your services, right? What's this
Okay.
going to entail? I think it's fair for us to tackle that conversation, and yeah, you don't need to go in super high detail, maybe in
Yeah, if you don't mind, I will tell you how we charge our cost structure and how it's in general in the industry.
Go
If you
for it.
don't mind, we're a little bit different.
Yeah,
So, one sentence, very easy. We have a fixed fee, especially for single condo owners. We're
right,
charging a fixed fee. It's not a percentage. It doesn't change from one condo to the other. And the simple reason for that is because the property management work that goes to $500 unit versus $5,000 unit is about the same.
correct.
We're dealing with the tenants with the same problems and etc. So that's why we charge a fixed fee. And as an owner, I know also it's much easier for me to predict what will be my cost if I know if there's a fixed fee, right?
Correct.
So it's pretty simple. It's about $100 per month plus tax for individual condo owners. And for larger buildings, with about 100, 200 units, we're charging a percentage about 6-7%.
Okay. Now I didn't hear it very
the-
clearly. Can you repeat the fixed fee that you mentioned before?
The fixed fee is about $100 per month per unit.
Okay, about $100 per month per unit. By the way, just for reference,
Yeah.
we're recording this in April of 2024. So if somebody's listening to this 5 years down the road, the prices are going to be updated by then. Fair enough. So
And the other thing, we increase our fees for our existing tenants, clients. If they're about 10 years ago, if they started using our services, they're much lower, by the way. But
of course, which is fair. Which is fair.
it's about $100. And we don't charge anything else. Basically, some of the other property management companies in this industry, they charge for everything, on top of it. They're charging to give the keys to the tenant. They charge for inspections. They charge if there's a problem with, in terms of repairs and etc. They
Right.
charge also extra if they have to call a plumber. We don't have that at all. So we would like to give the clients a very clear picture what will be their property management cost. And it's very straightforward. It's about, $1,100, $1,200 per year.
Right.
Plus tax. That's it. They don't pay anything else to us at all.
Nice. I appreciate that. And like I said, this is a very important aspect because it could make the difference between someone making the decision to leverage off all the, the work and headaches, as we talked about, to a company like yours.
Yeah.
Based on what you're saying, the decision becomes much easier, right? And especially if you're
And absolutely. And considering it, like the average rent is about 1,600-1,700 per month right now in Quebec. I mean, it comes to less than 5%, so it's a very competitive price. And the reason for that is, to be honest, we're a volume company. We have a lot of cost efficiencies. We're working with the economies of scale, and that's why we can actually afford to offer that kind of rate. Versus normally, like internationally, it's about 8%, 9%, the property management fees.
Right.
But ours comes to, depending on the rent itself, it comes around 5%.
Okay. And this also, because one of the topics I had on this list was maintenance and repairs. This management fee includes any time you need to dedicate towards maybe opening the door if you have to have the air conditioning.
Absolutely.
So there's no additional fees for that type of stuff.
Yeah.
It's a flat fee.
Yeah, but obviously the third parties, the plumbers, the electricians, the technicians, their cost is separately, but our cost is definitely includes the overseeing their work, let them in, etc., doing the inspections, dealing with the syndicate management. If there's, for example, fire alarm inspection, if the tenant's not going to be there, and if you have to go there, there's no extra charges for that.
Very good, very good. Even now I'm getting all excited here because I can see how more and more of our clients can truly benefit from this. And I mentioned this to you in the past, maybe I have, maybe I haven't. I already do have a few of our clients who are overseas or who are not local to our market. They're in North America, and we kind of semi-act as their property managers at times because as a realtor, that can sort of happen organically as we've talked about how you got your start. However, as a real estate broker, my job job is not to manage properties, right? That's not my expertise. That's not where I want to spend my time. And that's why we've partnered up to be able to support our clients. So some of the stuff we talked about already, communication and reporting. How often do you guys do that? Remember, these are the sentence answers now, right? Because I want to just touch on these. How do you guys do that?
Again, as I mentioned before, some of the owners are very hands-on, some of the owners are very hands-off. We would like to customize our approach based on their needs. Some of them would like to have a weekly call. We can do that, no problem. And some of them basically doesn't want to even talk to us, and everything has to go through the emails. And we respect that as well. So it's 100% customizable.
Very simple. Now,
Yeah.
you've talked about this again as well, being in the market, you yourself being an investor. I can probably assume with confidence that several of your team also invest in real estate because you guys are all
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So this makes
I mean, they all love the real estate, and they would like to benefit from the real estate as much as they can. Like even all the team members in our team.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I figured as much because I know it's the same for our team. We all are interested in real estate. Otherwise, why would we be encouraging our clients to invest as well, right?
Absolutely.
So that lends to you guys, your whole team, being local market experts, which is a huge benefit, right? Now, do you primarily do Montreal region, or do you kind of go outside a little bit? That would be the only question I'd ask you to develop on.
Yeah, I mean, I would say greater Montreal area because we have a lot of clients with properties in Laval, also in South Shore, but that's it. We don't accept clients outside of greater Montreal area at the moment.
Which makes sense because your economies of scale are just going to slide off the table if you're now servicing Trois-Rivières and Sorel-Tracy and Saint Jerome, let's say, as an example. It might be a little bit too much. That makes sense. We talked about you guys using the technology and innovation. I think is just something that we need to mention again because it is important because it is the way of the world right now, right? So good job on that. The legal and compliance matters, you kind of touched on that a little bit already in a previous point we were developing. So you being local, you also having your own properties and being so entrenched, you guys are following all the laws and the changes so you can keep the clients up to speed. I'm going to ask you this before we wrap this up. Is there anything you would like to share? By the way, thank you. This has been amazing. Hope you had fun. I mean, I had a great time.
Absolutely.
It's been a real treat listening to. I always like to have conversations with people who are passionate about what they do. I sometimes tell my clients I would do what I do for free because I love it so much. It's a philosophy that I hope I always have, but I still need to get paid, guys. Otherwise, I can't stay in business to continue to serve you, right? So Bill's got to get paid. Hydro doesn't take hugs. So that being said, I totally appreciate your story, where you come from, and how this is organically grown. So I wish you continued success. But let's kind of start wrapping up, and let me ask you: is there one thing that you would have liked to share, or that you think is important for newer investors, seasoned investors, that they might want to think about or really understand when they're thinking about either engaging with or not a property management company?
I mean, I will definitely recommend investing in real estate. I invest my money in different, ways. And the best one has been in the past 20 years is always real estate.
Yeah.
So it's the most profitable. I mean, it gives you a lot of flexibility because you can rent it, you can keep it, you can renovate it, you can sell it. It's just it gives you so much flexibility. You have so much control on it versus a stock market, where you invest in a company where you don't actually have any decision making whatsoever. It just gives you the flexibility, you have full control, and it's definitely profitable. I mean, to be honest, I'm trying to keep my properties long term.
Yes.
But for a couple of them, I had to sell it because of my emotions. As an investor, when I didn't know what to do the first couple of years, I out of emotions, I sold one or two properties.
Right.
And even then, I double or tripled the value. And then when I sold it, it was super profitable. I mean, if I go back, I would have kept them, to be honest.
And I feel the same way.
I acted out of pure emotions, but still, I'm happy with that because I made a lot of money with those properties. So definitely don't don't get discouraged. If you want to learn it, just do it, learn it. Yeah, the first year will be tough, but once you learn, once you create your network, once you surround yourself with the good, people,
Good
then
team.
everything much easier. It's definitely worthwhile putting all the effort,
I,
because
I,
you're gonna, at the end, you can gain a lot of, it's not just money, it's also the feeling, when you keep the property for long years, if you see the values increasing, if you see good tenants living and creating families there with kids and etc., it gives you a lot of good feeling
It's
at the end.
fulfilling, very fulfilling. I know a lot of people don't realize this, but being a landlord also means that you're creating housing opportunities for people who otherwise might not have been able to find decent housing. So I think it's a
Absolutely.
responsibility. I think it's a responsibility.
Yeah, and being a good landlord
Yeah.
gives them the feeling, they live in their home. It's very important. It's very
I,
fulfilling,
I
as you said.
always say my
100%.
tenants, I treat them like I do any real estate client. I cherish them, I honor them, I respect them. I even send
Yeah,
them holiday cards and birthday cards when I know their birthdays,
yeah,
because you want these
100%
are people who are part of your lives, and you want them to take care of your property as well as if it was their own. And the best way to ensure that that happens is for them to realize that you're a regular person too, and you're providing a service, and they just need to do their part. One question.
Yeah, and
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I agree 100%. It's a very important point. Like, yes, as a property management company, we're getting paid by the owners, but the tenants are our clients as well, and
Yeah.
that they are the ones who are actually paying the owners. So it's
Agreed.
very important to treat both parties equally.
Right.
And like as a property manager, you have to always find the most fair way. Dealing with the problems between landlords and the tenants. So
100%. A
it's very
question that
important.
popped into
Just
my
this
mind,
fair way.
Emery, and I
Yeah.
apologize for this. Now I'm going to add a little side question. Do you
Yeah.
guys do any Airbnb style property management?
No.
Quick, done.
So like our expertise was, has been always been long-term rental properties. I personally, I mean, we got requests from a lot of clients if
I'm
we can
sure.
manage Airbnb. I didn't want it because, I wanted to stay with our core business.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, there's a lot of competition out there as well. So I didn't want to be in that particular business.
Amazing.
So we just do long-term rental properties.
Perfect. Thank you for answering this. Again, I'm so grateful. I knew this was going to be an interesting interview because of the passion you have for what you do every single day. If any of our clients or anyone listening to this recording would like to get in touch with you and your team to find out how they can benefit from your expertise and potentially engage your services, what's the best way to go about that? How do they contact you?
I mean, either email at info@agrasoyrealty.com, or they can call me directly. My phone number is 514-476-7281, or any other possible ways of contacting us.
I do.
WhatsApp,
Media and all
Messenger,
that.
anything.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
We're everywhere.
That's awesome. Listen,
Yeah,
again, I'm grateful for the time you made on a Sunday. For those who don't know, it's Sunday
my
morning,
pleasure, Wilson.
and
My
it was
pleasure.
absolutely terrific. And I wish you continued success. And I also wish both of us continued success as we continue to collaborate and help each other serve clients at a higher level. And yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, I'm not sure what
we're
else we
looking
can
forward
say
to it.
other than let's look forward to the exciting adventures that are ahead of us in the future.